continued the discussion on the nature of Atman as aparoksha. Atman is not an object of knowledge, but self-evident and self-numinous. Shloka 28 gives us the scriptural support for Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. These are Lakshana of Brahman. No medium, instrument, or any means is required to know Atma. Vedanta prepares the mind and makes it eligible for Atma's experience. In deep sleep, there is no mediation and we have the direct experience of Atma. It is the highest experience in this empirical world because you go beyond the process of mediation, that is aparokshata. Acharya applies another logic and says, since it is aparoksha, we have to accept that it is swaprakasha. Self-knowledge is knowledge of the self. Knowledge usually implies the knowledge of something. Similarly, when we say self-knowledge, we think that it is knowledge of the self. This of the self is a problem. Here it means itself, knowledge itself is self, or self is knowledge. There is no need for any other proof or pramana of knowledge because it is swaprakasha. Shruti says Satyam, Jnanam, and Ananta or existence, consciousness, and infinite. Swamiji then talked about intuition and said it is deeper than knowledge. The difference is very slight as knowledge is very formative and clear, but intuition is not clear. You know what you know, but in intuition, you do not know what you know. Intuition works directly. We all have this higher level of experience and we experience this daily. Intuition is a part of the brain we can develop. Intuition knowledge can never go wrong, and this is the speciality. If you accept the first flash of intuition, then it is done. Because the mind is conditioned by the ego and does not accept intuition repeatedly for a long time, the suggestions stop gradually. The blunder is that we have this divine intuitive mind and which can give us the direct knowledge of everything correctly, but we do not accept it because of the social conditioning. The Shloka 29 discusses the role of Sakshi or witness consciousness. The speciality of Sakshi is that it does not need any mediation and that it is never absent. Sakshi is the witness of only the objects inside, and if an object is in the mind, it witnesses that. The first step is the outside objects, sense organs together with mind, which is one group. The second part is what is there in the mind, whatever the mind brings, you like to see that, experience, and know that. This is what is called observing the witness as Sakshi. When you observe that, that observation seems to be with the mind, but there is an observer beyond mind. That observer has no mediation, so that is Sakshi. Next, Swamiji talks about the concept of Satyam and negation. Pure existence cannot be negated or contradicted in all three periods of time. That is called Satyam. That is Atma, that is Brahman, Satyatvam Badharahityam. Sakshi is unattributed, unconditioned consciousness. Even if you negate everything, you cannot negate the negation or the negator or witness of that negation. That is how we experience Sakshi. Sakshi cannot be attributed to any other qualification other than consciousness. Acharya says that if you negate the negator, then who will know the negation of that negation? At the end of all negation, Neti Neti, we will experience the ultimate negator, the witness of negation as Sakshi. Swamiji next discussed imagination, negation, and the potentiality of infinity. A very simple point and theory to remember is that whatever mind can imagine, that has no existence. Even if those imaginations have no meaning, there is still something. There is some potentiality because the brain cannot imagine what is not there in the brain. What is said in Vedanta is whatever you imagine can be invented because it is there in creation. This is swatyatvam and negation. So when we negate, we think that is gone. But as long as you know that it was negated, it is there. A statement that gives us a meditation technique is that whatever you remember is there in you. We can imagine endlessness, infinite, because there is a potentiality of endlessness in us. Endlessness can be there, and so your brain accepts this. There is some program at the innermost level of your brain function. If infinity is there, then it must be there in us. The body and mind are not connected with infinite. Though the intellect, buddhi, does not say that Atma is infinite, but buddhi says, I know infinite, because buddhi is very connected and near to Atma. There is a reflection of that infinite in the intellect. It says, I know it, but I cannot say what it is. But the potentiality is there. Meditate on this. Because you are infinite, you want to make everything infinite. But that clarity is not there, and Vedanta tries to bring that clarity. This infinite being is yourself, it's you. Shloka 29 talks about the rejection process and space consciousness. If you want to experience the self beyond all this, take this method as the rejection removal process. When all forms are eliminated, the formless empty space remains. Vyat means space, and that remains. The rejection process, Neti Neti, leads to recognizing the formless, infinite nature of Atman. This space is called Chidakasha, or space consciousness. What remains as space has no object or objectification left there after everything is removed. What remains is Brahman. This space is consciousness. We say space is formless. That is science. We say we know that it is the formless or objectless, manifestationless. That space is consciousness because we know that. The formless empty space is part of science knowledge, and formless empty space knowledge or consciousness is Vedanta. So the eternity of the being comes there, and this was there even before the beginning of time. That eternity is also consciousness, the eternal consciousness. That is Ananta. Eternity of the being is Satyam. It was always there. That is the empty space of Vedanta, which is eternal, infinite consciousness. It cannot be destroyed. We bring in space just to understand, because Acharya says Vyat. This is the rejection process. What is left behind is called space consciousness. This space consciousness, this is space consciousness and not space. Science says space remains. Vedanta says what remains is space consciousness. This space consciousness is nothing but Atma because it is eternal. Swamiji concluded with this. Hari Om, Swamiji.
श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमस्कृष्णे सविलासमामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम। So the point was in discussion how we can experience Atma alone without attributions and adjectives. So that famous theory in Vedanta is the theory of rejection or removal of non-Ātma principles. So this is called Neti Neti. Ultimately, this is the process in Vedanta. So what we are discussing here, as you know, we are not just going through the lines and translating the words there, but we are trying to get into the core meaning of the Slokas, the meaning conveyed by Mahaswamiji, Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji. So this is very famous in Vedanta, that the rejection methodology is the ultimate methodology of meditation or contemplation or manana, what we can say. The so-called, what you say, uh, the elimination of non-Atma principles. So this is called the ultimate theory of Vedanta. That is Neti Neti. It's not this, not this. So whatever comes to your mind, it's not Atma. Because Atma cannot come to your mind as an object. Atma cannot appear in your intellect as a thinkable object, or Atma cannot be logically proved as anything else what we do. So therefore, Vedanta ultimately says, ultimate truth, any kind of ultimate truth cannot be known by any positive definition other than the Swarupa Lakshana, other than the objects itself. So that's the difficulty. I repeat this idea again. If you want to know the origin, the originality, the reality of any object, you should go into the ultimate cause of that object, the ultimate existence of that object. If it can be an object of matter, so then you should go into the deepest level of that matter to know what it is, or energy or matter or whatever we call it. Similarly, if you want to know your core existence, that is ultimate. So the ultimate existence, ultimate truth, ultimate reality cannot be known by any positive definition given to it. It means if you try to define it with some quality, with some action, it may differ from the original source, original this character. So that's the difficulty. But only we can say the Swarupa Lakshanam of that object. If you want to define it, that's ultimate Swarupa Lakshanam. So now Atma has Swarupa Lakshanam as Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. That's the Swarupa Lakshanam. Other than this Swarupa Lakshanam, whatever definition we are trying to give to Atma, it's actually distracting the core idea, core experience of that. So now what we are doing, normally we connect ourselves with the mind, intellect and its conditions and functions. So this goes to our Atma connection. Whenever we think about Atma, we think about the functions and experiences no, around connected with the intellect. So that won't define Atma. It cannot define Atma. So that is why it is said Neti Neti. So it cannot be defined like this, it cannot be defined like that. But in that context where the Neti Neti comes, this is a Śruti Vakya Neti Neti. It's very simple. In that context, we see that there are two things we can see, that is, one is Mūrta and another is Amūrta. Manifested with form is called Mūrta. Manifested without form is called Amūrta. The Mūrta means with form, manifestation with form, and manifestation without form. Out of 5 elements, the last 3 elements, fire, water, and earth, have form. So it is manifestation with form, elements with form. So we deny all those form, without form, with form. And then the second part, air and ether, space, is denied as Amūrta, the manifestation without form. So one Neti denies the form and another Neti denies formless. So both are denied. Now we have no form, no formless. No, then what is Atma? So here in this condition, many of the scholars confused with the Buddhism, the Buddhistic theory of Shunya, non-existence, vacuum. So they think, what is the difference when you say there is no manifested form, there is no manifested formless. So there is no formless, there is no form. Then what is there? What is left over? So this is what we think like that. But that part we will learn from this, the last discussion of this chapter. So this is why we are unable to objectify Atma. People think why we are unable to experience Atma, why we are studying for a long time, why we are not experiencing God. So because God is your core existence, so it cannot be defined. So the definition given to God is just for the sake of understanding. No, if suppose you want to understand what is energy, we have to show something which is working with the energy. So this is like that. So similarly, at the end of this inquiry, the end of this contemplation, you end up with this, that it cannot be defined. So that part, this here in this discussion, Acharya wants to convey that part. So therefore we took that. Now you see the slokas, 30th sloka. Shakyeshu badhideshu ante shishyade yattadeva tat. He says what can be denied, eliminated. When you deny and eliminate, remove all those which can be denied. So all the objects can be denied. Then what is left back, avashishyate, what remains back, is the truth. So yet tadeva, what remains back? The consciousness, that we call it as a space consciousness. So even the space is denied, but the space consciousness is not denied. The earth is denied. You can say there is no earth, but the consciousness of earth is not denied. The forms are denied, names are denied, but the consciousness of forms, names is not denied. So this is the part where we should concentrate, apply our mind to recognize Atma, identify Atma. So whenever we say yes or no, the yes is accepted and no is rejected. But the rejection and the acceptance both have the same amount of consciousness. You remember as you rejected, or you remember as you accept. So the both has the same consciousness. That consciousness should be remembered. So this is what is called Shishyate Yattadeva Tat. What remains, that is consciousness. So there that knows everything. So the all cosmos, whatever form we see, you can deny all those. You can deny your memory, you can deny your ego, you can deny your everything. But then that what remains is that consciousness which cannot be denied. So the mind is a medium. Mind can only work with limited objects, and those objects where mind can work with, those objects are objects of denial or objects of acceptance. It is subject to denial, subject to acceptance, which are there in the mind. So therefore, psychology, what we call it as psychology, Manashastra. So psychology cannot reach to Atma. It can only indicate Atma. It can say only that this may be the Atma. Suppose this should be Atma. It can only indicate, because the psychology works much later, or much we can say it's very far from Atma. It cannot be connected there. So the next shloka says, Sarva badhena kinjit chet yanna kinjit tadeva tat bhasha evatra vidyate nirbadham tavadastihi. Now you see, you can understand here, you can understand the minute, the tiny difference between the Shunyavadam and the Vedanta. The Shunyavadam, there is no non-existence is the truth. There is no knower of non-existence. Nothing remains there. Here, the denier remains, the knower of non-existence remains. So that is what is defined just in this shloka. Sarva badhe na kinchit iti chet. So the objector asked, is objecting, when you deny everything, as you said, if one denies everything, all five elements, these five koshas, and whatever you experience, you neglect everything, this neti, not this, not this, not this. This is not me, this is not me, this is not me, this is not me. Then what is you? Then nothing remains. So nothing chit, nothing remains there. What we can say, this is the remaining. So then the answer is Tadeva Tat. Oh, if you reached up to there, if you reached that end, then that is the truth. The reality is that. Because you know nothing remains. Really nothing remains. If you know that nothing remains, you are experiencing the end of the last point of that experience, that is Atma. So you touched Atma. So this is how Neti Neti leads there. So Sarva Badhena Kinchit iti chet na Kinchit Tadeva Tat. Because something remains there as non-negatable, which is never negated. Because you know that nothing remains there. So who knows that nothing remains? Now, bhasha evatra vidyate nirbadham tavadastihi. You see, your language, the language you are using, that language differs. You say nothing remains. That I know, nothing remains. If you know, you are the knower. You know it. And if you don't know, you say, I don't know what remains, what is happening. Then it remains. Still it remains. So, bhasha eva atra vidyate. There we say as Brahman. There we say the ultimate truth. You are calling it as a reality of nothingness. There is a difference. What you call it as reality of nothingness, shunya, so there we call as we experience the atma there, the aloneness, the kaivalya. So that is experienced there. So bhasha eva atra vidyate nirbadham tavadasti. Nirbadham, the non-negated or never deniable, that is there. It remains. It's always there. So tavat asti. So now nobody can deny their experience. Their experience cannot be denied. If you know nothing remains, you are confident that you know nothing remains. So that's confidence in that knowledge shows you are there. Otherwise, how can you say nothing remains? So this, therefore, it is nirbadha. So this is what we are discussing now, is the ultimate theory or ultimate process of Vedanta to reach Atma. Now nothing will touch you. There is no body, there is no mind. You are beyond body, beyond mind, beyond intellect, but you are within body, within mind, within intellect. Andar Bahi is there always. So, bhasha evatra vidyate nirbadham tavadasti. So, this is only by the language difference we argue each other. But the language difference is there. What you say, we are also saying the same thing. The Śruti, the Veda itself says Neti Neti. But after that, what remains? Then after that, the Śruti says, Agrihyo nahi grihyate. Why Neti Neti? Why we say Neti Neti? Because that is agrihya. That cannot be seen. That cannot be known. Therefore, we say what is known is not Atma. So, agrihyo nahi grihyate. So, unknowable cannot be known. So, therefore, we call it as ultimate Neti Neti Prakriya. Okay. Adayeva Srutirbadhyam Badhitva Sheshayathyatah Sayesha Neti Netyatma Edad Vyavritti Rupatah. Therefore, Adayeva Srutirbadhyam Badhitva Sheshayati Atah. Śruti, the Veda, as Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Neti Neti, Badhyam Badhitva, Badhyam, having denied what is fit to be denied. So, Badhyam Badhitva. So, Badhyam means what is fit to be denied, the deniable objects. Is after having denied all those, Sheshayati Ataha. That self is left behind as the self. So Sheshayati Ataha. So this Sheshayati part, no? So something is left behind after the denial. So having denied all those the deniable objects, something is left behind. This something is left behind. This part, this part is missing with the Shunyavada in Buddhism. So they are not keeping anything there. They are not accepting the experience of the denial. So that part is missing. Other than the denial part is the same. Other than that is the same. So the one which is left behind, unneglected, that is Atma. That is how we reach the reality or the Brahma Swarupa, Pratyak Bodha, Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, the direct experienced self. Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, the Brahman which is experienced directly without a medium. So that is experienced only through this Neti Neti Prakriya. So it starts from your sadhana. We have to remember we need to have those Vairagya, Jnana, Vichara, Manana, Shravana, and Karma Yoga. In that category, Bhakti Yoga, all those sadhanas are implied here. Ultimately, we reach there. Now you see, this part of knowledge, this part of elaboration or the capacity of intellect to know this experience is missing in material science, in physics and all science what we discuss. They are totally missing this part. So in this part we say intellect has a tremendous or limitless capacity to know ultimately this knowledge. The ultimate knowledge, it reaches up to this point. It may take many births because our body is limited. Body has capacity only to live in this world, and similarly prana and all other elements. But only the intellect, or we can call it generally mind, mind has the special capacity to reach up to this point of liberation, this point of all-pervading or the omniscient knowledge. So till then, till that point, till reaching that point, it gets expanded. It gets new ideas. Till then, it is working on. It is not tired. Therefore, we have that inspiration from us. Why you are listening to all this Vedantic theory? Because that intellect is aspirant, that intellect is aspirant to know what is happening in me, how can I expand more and reach there and catch that, catch hold of that. So till then, it improves. So this part of this theory is only there in Vedanta, only there in this our scriptures. They are showing this. All other your elements, all other principles you have, they are all perishable, they are limited, but only the intellect can be expanded to that extent that you can get that liberation. As once that you get the liberation, you are free. It means you have no birth, no death. So that you are beyond death, beyond birth. So now, till then it will continue. That's the theory. Like, no, before going to school, why you went, why we sent our children to school, why we all went to school? To study. For what? To expand our, expand our intellect, get more knowledge. So the knowledge, getting this knowledge, how much knowledge do we want? We want the ultimate knowledge, the omniscient knowledge, sarvatnyata. So it means, as I said in last class, if we imagine, if you are thinking for that ultimate omniscient state of knowledge, experience, it means there is something, some point, some potentiality in us. Otherwise, why we could think that? So it is there. We try to go, try to understand that. One day or in one birth, we will get that. So when we get, that is our complete satisfaction. This is the theory we can say in connection with this. Why we want that? Like a seed, no? Like a small seed. What is the ultimate aim of that seed? The ultimate aim of that seed supposed to be become a tree, a big tree, like the mother tree. That seed wants to become a tree like mother tree. So that is the potentiality, that the potentiality it has. So it wants, the seed wants to expand it to the same level of understanding or same level of expansion. The same thing is happening in us. We want to become one with the source, the cause, the ultimate cause from where we are. We came out, from where we are created. So if you connect with this, the seed wants to be as a mother tree, like the mother tree. So we also want to become God-like, all-pervading, God-like, omniscient, God-like, omnipotent. So we want to be like that. It means this is the natural, we can say very, very natural, very, very natural to us. This is our life. This is why we want to expand everything. So it ends with the ultimate experience. So sa esha neti neti atma ityedad vyavritti rupataha. We are using the vyavritti rupa theory, the negation theory. Vyavritti means negation, separating what is not. So if you want to know something, you can know that by its nature, its character, its definition, defined character. And also you can know that the same object negating other object which is not that. So this is the theory we use here. The next sloka says, idam rupam tu yatta yavat tattaktum shakyate khilam ashakyo hyanidam rupam sa atma badhavarjitah. Again, Acharya is repeating the same idea with other words. As we said, what we can deny, what is deniable. He says, idam rupam tu yad yavat tat taktum shakyate akhilam. All that can be denied, which are objectified as this is, this. We say as object, no, this, that, it. So this, that, it, all those can be denied, separated. So idam rupam tu yattavat tattektum shakyate akhilam. You can completely deny all those. Elimination of all those, what is known as an object, or conceptualization. What you conceptualize, what is objectified. So the conceptualization and objectification can be denied. But ashakyo hi anidam rupaha. But what is not this? What is not this? Not this in bracket. Not this cannot be denied. Ashakyo hi anidam rupaha. So the consciousness of everything having gone remains. Therefore, it cannot be denied. So consciousness of sa atma badhavarjitah. So that is atma. That consciousness is atma. Now this here the atma is not defined with any adjective. There is no adjectives. So what is remained? So all that relatively knowing as idam can be eliminated, can be removed. But after removing those, what is not relative, the unrelative, so non-relative. The non-relative existence, beingness, what I say relative, it means like this, that, I and you, yes, no, all those concepts are relatives. The relative existence can be denied. All relative objects can be denied. But anidam rupaha. So what is not relative? Non-relative. The non-relative existence cannot be denied. Why? Because you have relation with all these body, minds, and other relations. Your family, friends, and outside objects are related to your body. You call it your father as a father because your body is connected to that father. Mother as a mother, friend as a friend, wife as a wife, husband as a husband, children as children, because those are all those relatives are related to your body. Similarly, your home, your vehicle, your action and reactions, all those. So it means all are connected to body, and you are connected to that body and the mind and all those. Correct? So now that is okay. But you as Atma, you as self is non-relative. It is not connected. There is no connection. You are that. So therefore, we call it, for the time being, we call it Atma as non-relative existence, non-relative beingness. That is you, that is Tattvamasi, that is you as a knower of relativity. Now you see interesting thing. You know the relations, you know the relativity. Now, the relativity cannot be relative, no? You know the relativity, but the relativity cannot be relative. For instance, everything changes. We accept the whole science, all we accept the changes are there. Everything is changing, constantly changing. But change does not know itself. Change does not change itself. And change does not know itself. You know the change, you know what is changing, but change cannot know what is changing, and change does not know change itself. So therefore, unconditionally, one has to accept or to accept the knower of that change. So this is what is happening in our mind. We are afraid of our mind sometimes. No? Something happened to our mind, some tension, some unachieved desire, or like that, something is happening in our mind. Then we are afraid about it. What would happen to me? How I am going to be? What would happen to my body? What would happen to my life? So everything you relate with that, because this is relation with the mind. So therefore, what is anidam? What is not this? Beyond the relation and the relativity cannot be eliminated. So, asakyo hyanidam rupaha sa atma badhavarjita. Ultimately, you see, after maybe not in our lifetime, maybe after maybe 50 years or something, ultimately the science will come to this point. So where they talk about the theory of relativity in that sense and the quantum level and all those, actually they expand, they explore the whole material system of development. They just explore it. Now this part where the relativity is drawn by something, or the experience of that relation, experience of this all material changes, what is happening, what we know, what we like to know in physics and now all this science and technology, that part is missing in there. So when they come to this part, they will understand this is the reality. By this we know that. So there they will end with this Vedanta. Therefore, the Advaita Vedanta can give answer to many a question which the material science cannot answer. There are so many questions which is unanswered for centuries. It can be answered by this Advaita Vedanta of this knowledge. So therefore you are studying the ultimate metaphysics, or what we call it as the part of the level. So if you get into that, if you get some point of this, so this is going to be the real experience of the creation, real experience of every existence. Now the second Lakshana of Brahman. Now what we were talking about the existence. And now the second Lakshana of Brahman is Satyam Jnanam. Okay. This chapter started with that only. If you remember, we started with Satyam Jnanam Anandam and we discussed so long up to here what is Satyam, what is existence, and different manifestations and all those. Now, the next sloka he says, Siddham Brahmani Satyatvam Jnanatvam tu Puro Pureditam Swayameva Anubhuditvadi Vachanai Sputam. He says you must be remembering that we have discussed Jnanatvam also, the Satyam Jnanam, the consciousness of Brahman. We have discussed where we discussed that in 13th sloka, 3rd chapter, 13th sloka, Swayameva Anubhuditvadi Vachanehi Sputam, that we have already seen there. So then we started with the Satyatvam and we elaborated Satyatvam with all these experiences and logics up to here. So Siddham, now it has been well established, completely established. It is Jnanatvam tu Puraiditam. We have the experience of all this, then how you know and all those, as that also we have discussed. Swayameva Anubhuditvadi Vachanaihi. He is referring to that sloka, his own sloka. We have already studied, because sometimes what happened after studying all this, you will forget what we have studied there, because we are going in some other level of experiences and the deeper level of understanding. Therefore, Acharya himself refers. So we have studied this sloka with this. If you refer to sloka number 13, so we discussed this point there. The consciousness of Atma can be experienced Swayameva. You experience yourself. So that also we studied. Now the last part, last Lakshana of Atma, that is Satyam Jnanam Ananda, Anandatva. Now what is Ananta? The Ananda means, Anda means limitation, Ananda means limitless, so which has no limit, or we can say infinite. There is no limit for that. So now the next sloka says, Navyapitvat Deshadondo Nityatvat Nabhikalataha Navastutopi Sarvatmyadanandyam Brahmani Tirtha. So there are 3 types of limitation what we can discuss on. 3 types of limitation. One due to space, deshataha, due to space, connecting with the space. And the second by kalataha, due to time. And third, due to objective difference, the different objects, desha, kala, vastu. It means one object is different from other object. So we call it one object is delimited by other objects. And Each object is delimited by other object. So the A is limited by B and B is limited by A. So this is called Vastu Paricheta. And means objective delimitation. So we have space limitation, time limitation, and objective limitation. So these three types of limitation we can say. Now, these three types of limitations are not there in Atma, in Brahma. That is why Brahma is called Brahman. Brahman is all pervading, all pervasive. Why? How it is all pervasive? Because it has no space limitation, it has no time limitation, it has no objective limitation. So he says, Vyapitvat Deshatah. Since Brahman is omnipresent, all pervasive, it has no space limitation. Okay? And Nityatvad na kalatah. Since Brahman is ever present, is always present, it has no limitation by time. Kalatah. Na vastutaha sarvatmyatvat. And since Brahman is all pervading, now vastutaha sarvatmyatva. Sarvasya means since it is all pervading, it has no objective difference. Vastutaha difference, there is no difference. So where there is object or objectification, there we have the presence of the same self. So it is there in space, there in time, there in vastu, in objects, there in creation. It was there before creation. It will be there after destruction. It is there in the presence also. So these are the three limitations. So absence of three limitations. Anandyam Brahmani Tirtha. So absence of these limitations are there in Brahman as its nature. It is not due to any reason. The reasoning logic is not there because it is its nature. If you ask why space is all pervading, all pervasive, there is no answer for that. Even science cannot give why space is all pervasive. Because it's natural. Space nature is all pervasive. Similarly, Atma is all pervasive because its nature is all pervasive. It's beyond time because time is again a creation, a relative creation. Space is also a relative creation in that sense in Vedanta. It's not in science, but in Vedanta. In science, they don't accept space is created. So this is the Anandyam of Brahman. So we have discussed Satyam, Jnanam and Ananda. Now you apply with yourself. This all discussion is not for the sake of discussion, no, not for the sake of study we are doing it. You apply yourself. Try to find out how you are unlimited with space, unlimited beyond, how you are beyond time, how you are not different from others. So try to contemplate on this. Deshakalanya vastunam kalpitatvacha mayaya na deshadikrutom dosti brahmanantyam sputam tataha. So he is concluding that statement saying this, Deshakalani avastunam kalpitatvacha mayaya. You see this Desha, Kala and all this space, time and other whatever you imagine. Vastu, Desha, Kala, Anya Vastunam, Desha, Kala, Anya Vastunam, Kalpitatvacha Mayaya. Is being imagined or projected, manifested by Maya, like dream reality. So when we call it Maya, it's like dream reality. So if your mind is on, mind is working, then you see everything. When mind is off, you will not see this time, space, nothing. You have no space, no time when mind is off. So the on and off of this mind brings time, space, actions. So this is, again, it is relative. The time, space and all other actions are relative. Relative in the sense, when mind is on, you have all this. When mind is off, you don't have time mind. When you go to deep sleep, their mind is off. You have no time, no space, nothing. You have nothing to worry, no worries. Nothing is there. No, you see how free it is. Therefore, like dream reality, it is the same, Maya. Even the empirical reality, what we call it, this empirical phenomenon, that is also like dream. It's also imaginary. Na deshadi kruto anto asti brahmanantyam sputam tataha. So in Brahman, in that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, there is no antaha, deshadikrita antaha. The limitation created by space, etc., is not there. The limitation created by antaha, limitation created by space, time, and so on is not there in that Brahman. So therefore, Brahma Atyasphutaha. Therefore it is obvious that Brahma is Ananda, limitless. So Anandya is there in Brahma. Anandya means limitlessness. The limitlessness is there in the Brahma. So it is very clear in this sense. We have already discussed this. Satyam jnanam anandam yad brahma tadvastu tasya tad Ishwaratvam ja jivatvam upadidvaya kalpitam. Oh, now after discussing all this, one small objection is left back. What is that? Now if you are discussing on Brahman, always all this Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma, Satyam Jnanam Anandam Yad Brahma, Tad Vastu, Tasya Tad. So Brahman alone exists. It is existence, it is knowledge, it is beyond all these limitations, Anantam. That's okay. But we have this God, no, Ishvara. Now, who is this Ishvara? If Ishvara exists, it means Ishvara is limiting the existence of Brahman. No. How can you say there is no other object other than Brahman? Because we have Ishvara, we believe in Ishvara, we believe in God, we pray to God that God exists, God is the creator, God is the preserver, God is the protector, God is the blessing us, He is giving us blessings and giving all these things. So with this Ishvara-hood, if you accept the Ishvarattamasti, then there is limitation because Ishvara is different from Brahman. Brahman is Vedanta Brahma and Ishvara is all the Bhakti school of thoughts. They call it Ishvara. They do Ishvara Bhakti. So therefore, it's difficult to accept your argument. And not only that, Jivatvam. Thus the Jiva is also there. I am here. The knower of Brahman is here. So now with Jiva, with Ishvara, both are different from Brahma. Suppose we think like that, then how can you say Ishvara is Ananda? Huh? So you said the objective limitation is not there in Ishvara. Now you have objective limitation with the Ishwaratvam and Jivatvam. Ishwaratvam means Ishvara good, Godhood. Jivatvam means Jivahood. Jivahood means this individuality. So there is a limitation for that. We have to accept that. Then the answer is given in next sloka. You see, as I said here just now, Mayaya Avidyaya. This is all because of Maya and Avidya. So you are asking the question with the Upadhis. You have Upadhis, different Upadhis, limitations, adjuncts, Upadhis. You are bringing some adjuncts, some adjectives. Shaktirastya Ishwari Kachit Sarvavastu Niyamika Anandamayam Arabhya Godha Sarveshu Vastushu. But just explaining the Maya, Shaktirasti Aishwari Kachit. There is a Shakti, a power, a divine power, inexplicable power, Kachit. We don't know what it is. It is very difficult to explain. So inexplicable power as Shakti is there. And that Shakti is connected to Ishvara. Therefore, Aishwari Shakti Kachit. And what that Shakti does? Sarvavastu Niyamika. It is deciding principle of everything. Sarva Shakti Niyamika. Deciding principle of everything. What happens, what does not happen in the manner, in this manner, in that manner, how it should happen. All this is controlled and decided by this particular Shakti. So this Shakti is making all these happenings. Anandamayam arabhya gudha sarveshu vastu. Where the Shakti lies, the starting from the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath, from there to all the objects what you see outside. It is hidden in all those. It will make your mind limited and think your mind that you have time, you have space, you have objects, I have this, I have that. All those implication and applications will happen with this Shakti. It's a wonderful Shakti, incredible Shakti. Anandamayam arabhya gudha sarveshu vastushu. It is hidden in all the manifestations. Because of this, everything is manifest. Therefore, that Shakti makes Ishvara. Now, how does one know there is a Shakti like this? Then he says, Vastu dharma niyamyeran shaktya naiva yada tada anyonya dharma sankaryat viplaveda jagat khalu. He says, if you ought to accept this Shakti. If you do not accept, then vastu dharma niyamyeran shaktya naiva yada kadachit. If this vastu dharma, the particularities of the objects, like sun shines, that is the particularity of sun. It is shining, it has light. And fire is heat. So fire has that heat, that it is its particularity. And water is cool. The coolness is there in that water. It is its particularity. Similarly, each and every object has its quality and particularity. So this is called Vastu Dharma, the qualities of the objects. So Vastu Dharma Niyamyeran Shaktyaneva Yada Kadachit. If this Shakti, this Maya, will not decide and control the particularities of each and every objects, then what would happen? Anyonya dharma sankaryat viplaveda jagat khalu. Then the qualities of objects will mixer each other. There will be a mutual mixture. It means sometimes fire will be as fire, and sometimes it may change into water, and water may change into fire, and sometimes something will happen. So the dharma sankaryam is called dharma sankaryam. Admixture of qualities. Admixture of qualities would happen, and you cannot decide. And the world would be plaveta. Plaveda means the creation would be chaos, utter in disorder. Utter disorder. The whole thing will be in disorder. So how can you manage that? And even in this order, the perfect order, what is already maintained, seeing that we are confused, because the world is functioning in order. No, we know that, but we are unable to decide why this is happening. We judge that, we judge this. So God is not, why God created me, why God created this sorrow for me, why I am in this family, why I am this world, why my profession is in trouble, why I am not getting money and others are getting money, why I am unsuccessful in my life. So we complain all this. So why do that? Because we are unable to accept what is happening to us. So whatever is happening in a particular order, and there is a system, there is a communication system. Maybe after 5 years or 6 years, something going to happen. No, some changes, maybe some sudden changes or some tragedy, something is going to happen in your life. But there is a system in body and mind, the Shakti, that God's information system will give you an indication that something going to happen to you after 5 years. But we are, unfortunately, we are unable to see that indication and understand this is what is indicating. So you have no idea how to connect that indication, that information. That is a technique. Because why I am saying this system of the manifestation is perfectly maintained. There is nothing happening as accident. There is no accidental incident. It's whatever is happening in a methodological process. So I have seen many incidents in my life or my experience, which I could trace or some years before, which is happening now. Or now I can see some, some hints that which is going to happen after a few years. So when we studied all this, we try to understand each what you say, the signs we get from the life itself. It gives, like, it will come to your mind, sometimes come to your dream, or sometimes you feel like sometimes it comes as a fear. It can come in many forms. But how we identify that? If you see, why it is coming without a reason. If something is happening, something is experienced or seen as without reason, without a manifestation connection, if you see something in your life, you take it as an indication for the future. It means it's going to happen. Is that like the God is giving the indication? So even this, this much information system is there in this manifestation. Now, how can you say there is no God? So whatever is happening in your in life, or whatever you are experiencing, it's very, very systematically formed and manifested. So this system is controlled by Maya. That is what he says. This system of his Maya is like a wholesome manager of God. So Maya is giving all this information. It indicates, and then say, no, it's going to happen in your life, good or bad or whatever, and it will happen. And if you are not accepting, nothing going to change. If you accept or do not accept, it doesn't make any difference. So what we think, whatever good for us, whatever we love, we think, okay, that is happening, it's okay, fine. And whatever is not good, we think we don't want. But for Maya, good and bad is for you. For Maya, there is no good and bad. Maya is like a manifesting itself. So it may be good for you or bad for you, but everything is systematically controlled. So now science and other knowledge systems, they are trying their best to understand these indications, these signs of changes. In Ayurveda, we have a system for that. In other our school of like Siddha Vaidya, we have a school of medicine, Siddha Vaidya. So there also they have some things connected to it. And Jyotisham, in astrology and astronomy, we have this system established. It correctly takes that indication, and then we know that it gives. And your body also gives many signs. No, it gives indication that after few years this disease is going to happen. It will manifest like. If you know that, it's very easy to treat and to control. No, to all this medical doctors, they must learn this. But this subject is missing from the medical science. So if they know this special subject, how to understand no, the lectronums, all the signs of diseases which body gives few years before, then our medical science will be successful, 100% successful, because you can start treating it much before. So that is very interesting. And this whole system is established and well managed and controlled by Maya. Therefore, one should accept Maya as Shakti. So therefore, what I say, judge not. Don't judge anything happen. You just try to accept it. Is the judgment, you remove all the judgment from your mind. See, if you are not judging, then least ye be judged. So this manifestation is not your subject. You have no entry to this manifestation. You can develop your intellect to understand these signs, these indications of happenings. That much you can understand, because that special intelligence, if you develop, then you can understand. But don't judge why God created this, why God gave me all this, why it is happening like this, why it is happening like that. Don't do that. It's unnecessary wasting your energy, and you are bringing more worries in this. So accept it. It's okay. If something is happening, that's okay. It's a part of manifestation. I could not recognize this before. So it is coming to me. It was there. It was manifesting, and I was not aware about that. Similarly, you accept it. Therefore, this theory of manifestation is well established in Sankhya philosophy, Yoga philosophy, and Vedanta philosophy. Everything is happening like this. So this is the control of Maya. So Maya is deciding all this, controlling all this. We can say Maya is managing all this, what is happening. So that is Maya. So now we conclude with this. Actually, we have four more slokas. We'll see in next session the conclusion of the chapter. So we conclude with this here. Thank you. Hari Om.
Are there any questions? Please raise your hand if you have any questions and ask.
Okay, it seems there are no questions. Huh?
No questions, Swamiji.
Oh, very good.
Lot to study, I think. Very
It means
difficult topic.
all you understood what we discussed. It's very happy. If you understood everything, then it's going to be a good thing. After completing, we have not yet completed this, but after completing the third chapter, you will feel a change in your understanding of Vedanta and the practice of Vedanta. As I said before, so give more emphasis on practice and more practice in depth, and keep the practice continue. Okay, so thank you. Hari Om. Shri
Thank you, Swamiji.
Guru Namaha. Hari Om.